So for those of you that may not know me, I am Brianna Beers, Bree to my friends, and I own the kind of recently rebranded Bree Beers and Associates, formerly Lippa Beers and Associates. We help small businesses and individuals with tax prep and tax planning. Tax planning is it's our jam because it's where we get to strategize with our clients to minimize their annual tax burden and keep that extra cash they save and invest it back into themselves and their business. So you may be watching this in a variety of places, but if it is not in our awesome Facebook community, Money, Taxes, and Finance for Small Businesses, then you definitely need to hop on over there and join. It's an amazing and supportive group. That's where we have our live trainings that I'll tell you about in a minute, and we post there daily with tips and tricks and just things that you should be in the know if you're a business owner. Those of you that are in our group, Money, Tax, and Finance for Small Business, if you're new, just to let you know, even if you're not new, we have changes. So Mondays, we do weekly trainings, and now we will be doing those at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, formerly 10, now 9. So that's 11 a.m. East Coast, 10 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. Mountain, and 8 a.m. for my West Coast. Kind of early for some of you, but you can always watch it on repeat, right? Repeat on replay. And then on Thursdays at 2 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, right now, we go live with updates from the previous week and we open it up to questions. And if ever you can't make it live, you can come back to our Facebook group and watch the videos here, or you guys can head over to our YouTube channel. We usually have all of our videos posted within about a day or two. And I find it's easier to search for things on the YouTube channel as it is as trying to find past trainings in the Facebook group. So pick your poison. We're everywhere. All right, so I'm going to start. Thank you to my girl, Jamie Troll, who posted this last week. She's another CPA. If you are a small business owner and you are not in her Facebook group, and her Facebook group is called Financial Literacy for Women Business Owners, and you are not following her on YouTube, Jamie Troll, you're doing yourself a disservice. She's amazing. And last week, while I was completely out of service for the day that the executive orders dropped, she kept up with them, and then I was able to share that in the group. So thank you, Jamie, if you're watching. Shout out to her. So this link, you guys, the White House, the presidential actions, that's everything that the president released in last week's executive orders. All right, so today we're really going to dig into what that is, and for almost more importantly, what it isn't. Because I have gotten a lot of DMs, messages, emails this week asking what this means. All right, so I am going to start by saying what it is, what this executive order covers, and then we're going to talk about what it isn't, because there are so many things that people were expecting or still are expecting that this does not cover. All right, so what are these executive orders? So these executive orders that are in this link is what the president issued last, I think it was Thursday or Friday. Back it up even farther. For the last week or two before that, we had been talking to you guys about Congress working on a new plan. Okay, I think it's called the Restart. So we've been telling you Congress is working on this, and we've been telling you, kind of keeping you updated on what we think Congress may or may not be including in this new bill. All right, well, these executive orders really have not much to do with what we're still expecting from Congress. Okay, so at the end of this, I will circle back around and talk about what I think Congress has in the pipeline coming up, but that's hard to talk about because what I say today may totally change by the time Congress, passes things. But let's start with these executive orders. So the presidential actions from last week, you guys, one thing to keep in mind, they're his executive or his emergency orders, but they're not live quite yet. We still need guidance and rules on how we're supposed to implement these. All right, but let's talk about the big things that it covers. All right, so the first one, and this is what I'm getting the most questions about, is the extended unemployment. So PUA, which was our unemployment that covered covered self-employed people and gave everyone that additional $600 of federal assistance in addition to whatever you were getting from the state. So that ended back at the end of July. All right. And I'm sure if you were on unemployment, you are well aware of that, right? Well, these executive actions, these presidential actions, extend this unemployment okay, to begin August 1st, but there are some changes. So first of all, it's no longer $600, it's $400 of additional assistance in addition to whatever you're making from the state. All right. And something to note here, and I'll tell you why I think this is important. So that $400, only $300 of that is actually coming from federal funds. The executive orders specifically state that the other 100 is coming from the state. Jamie Troll and I have been talking about this, kind of going back and forth, and I've seen it in her videos as well. And just not sure how that's going to work because a lot of the states are already out of money. They already have spent all of their unemployment funds. They don't have anything to take this $100 from. So not really sure how that's going to work out for the states that don't have the funds to pay this potential $100 per unemployment claim for this to go toward this additional $400. Okay. And we also don't know if the state can't fork out their 100, is federal still willing to fork out their 300? Don't know. Tough to say. So as I feel is always my answer the first time we come in here, got to keep watching, got to keep an eye out on what they direct us and what direction they give us for this. Okay, the other big thing about this executive order for unemployment is the change in what you qualify for. So under the old rules, okay, you only had to qualify for $1 of benefits under your state rules in order to get that additional $600, okay? Under this new guidance, you have to qualify for at least $100 of state unemployment in order to get this additional $400. All right, so there are a lot of states. So in Colorado, which I know a lot of my followers in this group, in the Money, Tax, and Finance group are in Colorado, we have a $618 threshold, right? That's our max. If you're above that's the most you can make. There are a lot of states out there that are in the $200 range. Okay, so it's a lot lower and a lot harder to qualify, and it's across the board depending on what state you're in is where I'm going with that. Okay, so in order to qualify for this additional $400 of extended unemployment benefits, you have to qualify for at least $100 in your regular state unemployment benefits. So that was what I was getting the most questions about this week, was this unemployment portion of the executive order. The next thing I'm getting questions about, and this is the next biggest part of this, is the the employee payroll credit. It's employee payroll deferral. It's actually a deferral. So for those of you that are like, wait. So if you have employees, you're a business and you have employees, there's payroll taxes that you pay. All right. And your employee pays half of them and you as the employer pay the other half. If you're self-employed, you pay the whole amount. Okay. It's called self-employment tax in that point. So there was already a credit for the employer portion included in the CARES Act. So this is a deferral of the employee portion. Okay. A deferral of the employee portion of your payroll taxes. What this is and what this isn't. What this isn't is a deferral of your withholding. Okay, that's not it. It is just a deferral of the employee portion of the payroll tax, which is about 7.5%. Okay, it's a little more than that. So important to note that this is only a deferral. You will have to pay it. There's nothing in here that says it's going to be forgiven. Could it be? Sure. But right now it's just a deferral, meaning you don't have to pay it now, but you are going to have to pay it down the road. And it's unclear. The other part that's unclear, that's really causing some havoc in us being able to provide guidance on this, is if it's going to be an opt-in program or if it's going to be automatic. We don't know. So if you are an employer and you have employees on payroll, you have got to keep your eye out on what this employee payroll tax credit or tax deferral, entails. Because if it's something that's automatic, it might be something you want to opt out of, or your employees want to opt out of. Okay. Then the other two big parts of the presidential actions that it covered is the extension of student loan relief. Okay. CARES Act provided student loan relief for those of you paying your student loans. Okay. That's been extended. And it also extended the eviction and foreclosure moratoriums that were in place. I am getting a migraine. This can't be good. All right, so I'm not going to rush, but I am going to keep going. Vision's getting spotty. This is good. This isn't good. That's me being sarcastic. So, what it isn't. These executive orders did not answer any of our questions on PPP or EIDL, which I know is why a lot of you are in here, is for PPP and EIDL guidance. Okay, it gave us nothing on the EIDL or nothing on the PPP, and those are things that we are waiting for Congress to deal out. Before these executive orders were issued, we had been talking about, and like I said, we had kind of been sharing with you what we thought Congress was talking about passing. So when we talk about PPP loans, and we've kind of heard, if you watch the news, watch anything kind of hearing us, you've heard about a second round of PPP loans. You've heard about blanket forgiveness for loans under $150,000. You've been hearing, I can't remember, but those little things, these executive orders didn't include anything about the PPP loans. We are hoping that when Congress passes a bill, and we're hoping it soon, that those are the things that are included in that bill. It also didn't include anything about an additional stimulus payment to taxpayers. If you guys remember, back in March, when I think it was Families First Act passed, we hear about the $1,200 a person, right? So the new Congress bills that they're trying to pass talk about another round of stimulus payments. So maybe that's in the pipeline. And then EIDL, we've heard just things about making up to $10,000 of your loan forgivable instead of just the $1,000 per employee. So again, all things that were there's speculation at this point. So unfortunately, we have nothing to advise on these. All we can tell you is that there isn't anything to say about these things right now. So that said, I know for a lot of y'all out there who are here for PPP guidance, you are at the point where your 8 weeks is up, or you've spent all your money, even if you're under the 24-week covered period, you've spent your money and you're ready to apply for forgiveness, right? You want this to be behind you. You want to be done with it. Show me what I need to do. Give me the forms to sign. Let me get my forgiveness dealt with, right? Let me apply for it and get this off my plate. So many banks, most banks are not even accepting forgiveness applications yet. I just got an email from my bank yesterday saying that they weren't going to accept forgiveness applications until this whatever new guidance from Congress comes out. Some banks have said, we're going to start collecting applications, but we're not going to, just to put you in a queue, but we're not going to do anything with them until we get guidance. Okay. So as far as I'm aware, and if you're with a bank that's like, yes, turn it in, we're working on forgiveness now, let me know. Because the SBA said that they'd start dealing with, forgiveness applications, August 10th. So last month, 4 days ago. But based on what I know, what I've heard from my clients, what I've heard from people in the group, is that they're contacting their bank, or they've heard from their bank saying, we're not accepting applications yet. We're going to wait until we get this guidance from Congress. And that's where I'm standing as well. So I have current clients of mine, who want help with their application. They want help getting their application all ready for their bank, right? Which I will talk about in a minute. Client or not, I'll come back and talk to you guys about what we can do to help you there. But I'm at a standstill. Every client who's like, hey, I've spent all my money, I'm ready to apply for forgiveness. I'm like, well, we're going to hold off, because there is a chance that we won't have to go through all of this application, even the EZ, you guys, because there is a forgiveness application, and then there is an EZ form that if you qualify to fill out the EZ form, it's much shorter. There's a lot less calculations to deal with, a lot fewer forms. That's the word I'm looking for. But it's still a process. Okay, you still have to submit documentation. You still have to tie out all your numbers and show how you spent it. All right. Well, what we're hoping, fingers crossed, what we are hoping is included in whatever Congress passes is what we're hearing about is blanket forgiveness for loans up to $150,000 or loans under $150,000. Because I think the stat I read was 85% of all loans that were funded were under that $150,000 threshold. And so the big banks are actually pushing for this because it's going to be a lot less work on their end if there's blanket forgiveness. All right, but let me tell you, and I said this 2 weeks ago on our live, in case you missed it, I'm going to say it again. You're still going to have a responsibility, even if you qualify for blanket forgiveness. I don't know, I bet something on it, that you're still going to have to certify, right? You're still going to have to say, yes, I spent the money in the allotted amount of time. Yes, I spent the money on the things that you told me I could spend it on. I spent 60% on payroll, and yes, I spent the rest of it on these other qualified expenses. You're going to certify that you did all that, all right, that you spent it right, you spent it in the right amount of money or right amount of time, all right? They're just not going to ask you at that moment in time for all the other, for the application, for the documentation, all that stuff. That's not to say that the SBA can't come back at a later date and time and audit you and ask for the support for your loan, okay? So that's a really, really important thing that I want to make sure is clear, that blanket forgiveness is not going to be freedom for you to go spend it however you want. I really, like, if you're going to still have to certify that you followed the rules. All right. You're going to have to certify that you followed the rules. And so we are actually, we know that, there's a lot of you, we've provided all the free trainings we can, right? As we get information, we've been sharing it with you guys, trying to keep you updated as much as possible, what the PPP, you know, what it is, what it isn't, what it covers, what you can spend it on, what you can't, all the things. But I know that there's a lot of you who still have specific questions, okay? Whether you're still trying to figure out how to spend the money to maximize forgiveness, or whether you're ready to complete the application whenever they start accepting it and you just aren't sure about filling it out right. All right, so we are, and I'm going to mention this, but we'll go hard in letting you guys know that it's available after Congress finally passes something, because right now, like I said, we're at a stalemate. But we are offering consultations for you guys. So if you're doing it yourself, if you're a DIYer on this, on PPP, and you know, you're figuring out, you're still trying to figure out, how do I maximize my forgiveness? How do I spend this money in accordance with the laws? How do I prepare to file my application? Whatever it is that you have questions on, if you're doing it on your own, we have come up with, we are going to offer 30-minute consultations for you guys to just get on the phone with me, all right, for 30 minutes of my undivided attention, and you can just ask away with all the questions you might have. For your specific, it's just you and me, one-on-one. So it's not me giving blanket answers. It's me sitting down specifically with you, answering your questions, telling you what you need to do here, how to answer your question there. Is that expense legit? Whatever it is you have. All right. We'll be on a Zoom call so you can screen share with me if you want. I'm really excited to offer this because we do have a more robust package that I'm going to tell you about in a second, which was not anything that I was planning on doing, but I've had a lot of people inquire about it. So I'll talk about that in a minute. But for those of you that don't want someone you don't need, or you can't afford, or you just don't want to spend the money on, or you have a grasp on this enough to do it yourself, you just have a few questions, whatever it is. If you're doing all this PPP stuff on your own, but you just need 30 minutes of time with a professional, with an expert to ask your questions to, that's me, guys. I have hundreds of hours into this at this point, like hundreds of hours of PPP knowledge. I've got you. All right. So you'll be able to schedule a consultation with me. Again, you can do it now, but I want to make sure that you make the most of your 30 minutes with me. So if you need to wait until Congress passes something, that's what I'm suggesting to people. All right. Then if you're not a DIYer and you're just like, I have all my documents, I have been completing, maybe you completed our tracker, right? Maybe you're using the tracker, but you're like, I don't want to deal with the application. I don't want to do any of that. We're going to be offering those services as well. Full-fledged PPP preparation or application services. So forgiveness services. I don't know what it's called yet because it's really not done. I just know that I've had a number of people reach out to me telling me that this is something that, you know, they don't want to deal with it. They want someone to do it for them. So I am coming to answer your guys' calls. So 2 options for you guys that'll be available. Again, I'm just mentioning it here because we're talking about, you know, Congress and PPP. We'll really get into detail of what we have to offer you once Congress finally passes that stuff. Okay. So I don't see any comments in the Facebook group. So I think we're good. I have spotty vision, so I'm going to go take some migraine drugs before it gets bad. That said, I will see you guys on Monday, August 17th at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time for our next training, which I forgot to write in my notes what it is, but it'll be a good one, I promise. I think it's back to basics. I think we're talking about all the lingo. Yes, if not, I'm going to talk about it now. So Monday is all about, what is an income statement? What is cost of goods sold? What is profit? We're going to define some of those words and really dig down into what those mean. So we're going back. So I'm excited about that for you guys. And then a week from now, next Thursday, 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Got to keep saying that because I have people all across the country. Mountain Standard Time, we'll do another Q&A and another updates. And keep your fingers crossed. Maybe we'll have something from Congress by then. Fingers crossed. Or maybe we'll have further guidance on these executive orders. I don't know. So until then, you guys, have a fantastic Friday tomorrow. Have a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you Monday. I just hit myself in the face. That's what you get when you watch me. A hot mess. All right, bye, guys. Have a good one.